Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to get into the story of a horse that really just tore up the rule book.
Yeah, we're talking about Inari One. And this is a fascinating deep dive because his story is not about being born into greatness. It's about a horse who forced his way in.
Absolutely. We're looking at sources that place him in, this legendary group, the Heisei Big Three, right up there with Oguri Cap and Super Creek.
Which is an elite club. That late 80s, early 90s period was, it was everything for Japanese racing.
Yeah.
And those three horses were at the heart of it.
But the hook for Inari One, the thing that just grabs you, is where he came from.
Right. He wasn't a product of the central JRA system, which is, the top tier. He started at Oguri Racecourse.
The local dirt circuit. And the gap between those two worlds it's huge.
It's massive. And our sources paint this picture of him as being wild, explosive, a horse that, when everything clicked, was just completely unstoppable.
So let's unpack that. Where does that fire come from? Let's go back to his beginning in 1984.
You have to start with the bloodline, because it almost tells a different story. He had this really deep European stamina pedigree.
Okay, so he wasn't exactly bred for local dirt tracks.
Not at all. His sire was Mill George, known for stamina, and his grandsire, well, that's Mill Reef.
Mill Reef.
Yeah.
Now, that's a name that carries some serious weight globally.
Oh, yeah. A dominant champion. We're talking 6 Grade 1 wins, including the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. That's a pedigree built for running all day on turf.
So it's kind of a strange mismatch from the start. They even named him Inari after the Japanese shrines for prosperity.
Right, so there was ambition there, but the plan was, I guess, for him to just dominate the local scene.
And he starts his career at Oguri Racecourse, his first race.
Crushed it, absolutely demolished the field. Looked like a superstar right out of the box.
But that wild reputation we talked about, it showed up almost immediately after that.
Yeah, his career was not a smooth ride. In his very next start, disaster. The sources say he just went wild in the gate.
Smash his head.
Smashed his head, suffered a serious injury. It was that raw, untamed energy turning on itself.
And the timing on that was just brutal. It knocked him out of the first 2 legs of the Nankan Triple Crown.
The Haneda High and the Tokyo Derby. Yeah. So right away, his story becomes about what could have been. It's defined by this self-sabotage.
For a lot of horses, that would be it. They'd be labeled unreliable, but not Inari One.
No. When he came back in May, something had changed. The trainers had somehow figured out how to aim that chaos in one direction.
And that's when he goes on what the sources call an historic winning streak.
8 straight wins. He just became this force of nature on the local dirt circuit.
And these weren't just any races. He won the Tokyo Open Show, which was the final leg of that Triple Crown he'd missed out on.
Exactly. And the Tokyo Cup, he was beating the best of the best on the local scene.
So the key takeaway here for you listening is that by the end of this run, it was obvious.
Oh, completely. He was just too strong for that pond. He had outgrown Oguri Racecourse and the entire local circuit.
The question wasn't, can he win anymore? It was, okay, now what do we do with him?
Which brings us to the next chapter, the massive gamble.
Right, because moving from local to the central JRA circuit isn't just a step up, it's a different world.
It is. And the decision was driven by his own quirks. He was starting to struggle on heavy, muddy dirt tracks.
But at the same time,
that European turf breeding was starting to show. He showed this surprising skill on grass, which is, of course, the main surface for all the big JRA races.
So his weakness on one surface basically pushed him toward his destiny on another. After a big win in the Tokyo Daisho 10, they pull the trigger. They transfer him to the JRA.
And you can't overstate what a risk this was. You're taking a local champion and throwing him in against horses bred and trained their whole lives for this elite level of competition.
It must have felt like an invasion, almost. And his first couple of JRA starts, they didn't exactly go to plan.
No, they were quiet. A 4th and a 5th. You can just imagine the press thinking, see, the local warrior can't hang with the big boys.
And then came the tennis show. The Spring Tennis Show.
The race that changed everything. It's a marathon 3,200 meters, perfect for that Mill Reef stamina deep in his pedigree.
But it wasn't just that he won, right? It was the way he won.
Oh, it was how he won. He didn't just win. He annihilated them.
By 5 lengths.
5 lengths, and he set a new course record. It was the kind of performance that just freezes the racing world. It silenced all the doubters in about 3 minutes.
In that moment, he went from a curiosity to a legitimate monster.
And he proved it wasn't a fluke right away. He immediately wins the Takazuka Kinen.
Completing the Spring Grand Prix double. That's That's almost unheard of for a horse that just transferred.
It is. But before we get to the big autumn rivalries, we have to talk about the jockeys. Because with a horse this difficult, the rider is everything.
He was first paired with Yutaka Take, a legend.
A generational talent, the master of handling difficult horses. He knew how to manage that. That internal fire Inari One had.
But Tech had to go back to his main ride, who was Super Creek.
Right, another one of the big three. So Inari One gets a new partner, the veteran Masato Shibata.
And Shibata was just what he needed, wasn't he?
He was perfect. He had this calm, experienced authority. You couldn't just sit on Inari One. You had to command him. Shibata knew exactly when to let that engine go and when to hold it back.
And he would need all of that experience for what came next, the autumn of his 5-year-old season.
This is when it all comes together. The big three finally start clashing head-to-head. The drama was just relentless.
First up was the Minichi Okan, his first meeting with Oguri Cap.
And Oguri Cap was already a national hero, a true phenomenon. This was the ultimate test.
The sources call it a brutal, unforgiving duel.
It was. They went to the wire together. Inari One lost, but only by a tiny margin. It was a loss on paper, but a huge win in terms of respect.
He proved he belonged in that ring,
Yeah.
trading punches with the champ.
Exactly. But then the inconsistency came back. That shadow of the difficult genius.
The Tenno Show Autumn. He just didn't show up, finished way behind Super Creek.
And then in the Japan Cup, he faded to 11th. A really bad finish.
So you've got this brilliant spring, a heroic loss, and then 2 really disappointing races. The narrative must have shifted completely.
Oh, absolutely. The common thought was, okay, his moment has passed. He was a flash in the pan. He couldn't sustain it at that level.
Which set the stage for the year-end Grand Prix, the Arima Kinen, one of the most dramatic races in Japanese history.
It really was. The public votes for the runners in this race, so it's packed with emotion. It's the last chance for glory.
And Super Creek, the horse who had already beaten him that autumn, was the favorite.
The favorite, yeah. And he ran like it. Super Creek led deep into the final stretch, looked like he had the race won. It was over.
But Inari One just wouldn't quit.
He was just chasing relentlessly. You could see the will to win. It wasn't just running. It was pure, raw desire.
He gets up right at the line, just surges past him to win it in record time.
It's an iconic finish. It's the ultimate story of redemption.
And the historical significance is just massive. With that win, he completes the spring and autumn Grand Prix double.
Something that hadn't been done in 29 years. And he was the first of the great Heisei-era horses to do it.
I mean, just think about that journey for a second. From a local dirt track, injured early on, to conquering the 2 biggest races in the country in a single year.
It's the ultimate underdog story. And it all came from that fire inside him, a fire that, came at a cost.
Because he was a horse that fundamentally just didn't know how to stop.
Right. He was so hard to manage. That difficult genius label was real. He could burn himself out before the race even really started. Success depended completely on that perfect balance between his power and his rider's control.
Yutaka Take, that famous quote about him, right?
Yeah, he nailed it. He said Inari One was like a light, compact body with an ultra high-powered engine inside.
All engine. And that kind of violent running style, it takes a toll.
It does. By age 6, you could see it. He was still competing at a high level, mind you.
He ran second in the Tenno Show Spring, beaten only by Super Creek. So he still had it.
He did, but his legs just couldn't handle that explosive power anymore. The leg issues started piling up and they had to retire him.
And there's a kind of beautiful, poetic ending to his track career.
A perfect coincidence. His retirement ceremony was held at Nakayama Racecourse.
On the very same day that his great rival, Oguri Cap, won his own emotional, legendary farewell, Arima Kinen.
Yeah, a final shared moment for 2 of the big 3.
So let's talk about his legacy beyond the track. As a stallion, he wasn't, a flashy, big-name sire.
No, but he was quietly very, very successful. And here's the final twist in his story. The sources confirm he was the most successful sire among the Heisei Big 3.
Wow, so he got the last laugh, in a way.
He did. He produced consistent, solid runners. His toughness and his stamina lived on.
And he lived an incredibly long life himself. He passed away in 2016 at 32 years old.
Which is just an extraordinary age for a thoroughbred. A testament to that toughness.
So if we're going to wrap this all up, Suryu, Inari One, he wasn't polished. He wasn't gentle or predictable.
No, but he was fearless. He was relentless. And when that power was channeled, it was just on another level. His story is about the need for both chaos and control.
His career is pure racing drama. It proves that you don't need a perfect start to reach the top. He didn't just cross the line between the local and central tracks. He completely shattered it.
And that explosive power, that was his gift and his curse. Right, it's what let him break records and conquer the elite, but it's also what led to injuries and probably shortened his career at the top.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to chew on. In any high-stakes game, sports, business, anything, is the predictable, steady champion always the ideal? Or is there this irreplaceable value in a volatile, brilliant talent whose own chaos is the very thing that drives them to do what no one else thought was possible?
Something to think about. A really remarkable horse.
Thank you for joining us for the deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more.